So let's talk a little bit about family ties. Who was your great great grandfather?
All I know, his name was William too.
William.
Mokamau
And then your grandfather
was
was William.
William
And your father?
with John Willier,
And you are.
John Willier, and then the William continued on to my uncle, my dad's brother, William. Yeah, but he was Billy,
Ah,
but he was William. So it's William, 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 William. Eh?
okay.
Yeah.
And in the Cree language, Musum is grandfather, correct?
How was that again?
In the Cree language, Musum means grandfather.
Oh yeah, grandfather. Yeah.
And what is the word for grandmother?
Kofkum.
Kukum.
Yeah.
So who was your kukum?
My Kofkum was, she was from Kudat, and I think she had, there again, in Kudat Lake, some of the war parties ended up in Kudat, and ended up in Trout Lake. Some of them ended up in Trout Lake. Some of them ended up in Kudat Lake, and that took the slavey woman. And same thing in Kudat Lake. Uh, the Crees. The Crees were one of the tallest natives, at one time. But now when the Crees came, they came from the States. When they came over this way, then ended up in Fort Edmond, and then continued on this war party. This is my Muslim, when he said that's where his dad was on a war party. Anyway, they chased the slavies out because the slavies were the ones that killed those um, 22 Crees on Dog Island. And so somehow, when my Muslim was hauling um, freight, mail, whatever, and they ended up meeting my grandmother in Cadotte Lake. Now, my grandmother, I think, was Slavey, Chipoan, whatever. The other, there's another name too, another Cree there, but I mean another nationality in the natives could have had that blood, but she was small. But she talked Cree. All her family talked Cree, but they were all small people because the war party that came in uh, took their woman, and so now the 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 Crees that were tall, the kids they had, they get smaller, and so my grandmother, I think, was that part slavey in her, and so that's my grandmother. My grandmother, she was a Samhain. She had, I think, 3 brothers and 2 sisters. I love my grandmother. She was a nice little lady. Anyway,
So,
eh,
how did that affect you when you were so close to your grandma and your grandpa? You get left with them in the winter when your parents go home because it's too cold. And then when you do get connected back with your parents, you don't really know them yet
no,
anymore.
no,
So then you end up in residential school and you still don't really know your parents all that well.
no.
When did you finally get to be reunited with your parents in a way that you understood they were your mom and dad?
I I was what 13, 14 now. I think 14. Well, I always say 14. When my grandmother told me the difference and why they didn't throw me away, and either that one of my mom or my dad would go to jail for 6 months, because that was the law. And but how it affected me, my grandparents, they they lived off what they call the grid now. You want to say,
Yeah.
but oh, we had chickens, we had pigs, we had cattle, we had horses, we had big garden, and my grandfather would plow with the horses and seed the oats, and then he bought an old combine. And so there's farming activity within my grandparents, So today, of my whole family, of my siblings and everything, nobody. But because of that, being, seeing that farming part with my that's how it was my mom and dad, and then coming to Greward. But I actually accepted it when I was 14, when my grandmother told me, and the reason why they had to let me go. They didn't throw me away. But that farming activity over there, I got thrown in the mission. I was 9 years old. When I got out, 10 years old, they put me on a mower. So I love that. I love this because that's what we were doing in East Prairie. So that's how it come all out of my siblings. I'm the only one that ended up. And like I worked all over. But right from 1959, I was still in the mission. And we worked on the land. My brother's been, and that little guy that I met in Greward, Lawrence, was my brother. And what my grandmother and them did, when they left me, they took my brother to East Prairie. And I found out later it was my brother. So they kept him until he was 9 years old. His personality and my personality were identical because of the way we were raised up. Over here, in the mission, it just turned me, everything was negative. People were controlling. You got to pray. You got to do this. And we never did that. My grandparents over there, they prayed in their own Aboriginal way. Yeah. And my grandparents here grew up in the old Aboriginal way. But that's what changed me. By being in East Prairie, I came. So I went into farming because I loved it. And so I've been farming for 65 years. Right, since I got out, I went to BC, worked there for 3 years. But I come home, we do fencing, as I bought a horse. My dad looked after my horse. We did fencing, more fencing, more fencing. And then eventually my dad had about 60 head of horses. So what we did is we fenced, my dad hired people across the river, native people, to get posts, tamarack posts. So we got about 300, big pile. I remember that. In 1955, he sold, I don't know how many horses for wire. And so we fenced 2.5 miles south, 2 miles east, 2.5 miles north, right up to the river. So now the river is here, so we fenced all the way right up to the river on each side, and we had gates over here, a gate at the far end. So now we could keep all our horses in this big area. It's a lot of bush, but little open areas for hay. And what he was doing, my dad was training horses, logging, teams. That's how he was making some money for a living, eh? But that's how it affected me. The mission, like today, where I'm at, what the government did, okay, they used the native people, but anyway, they gave this option for being in residential school, they'll give you money. And, 2,200, 22,000, 3,000, 5,000, and I fought that like hell, no. I don't think, that if you want to say money is going to
fix all the problems you made?
Yeah, and if they're going to solve the problems, well, give enough damn money for that. If you have something in your head as a first in native, instead of drinking, instead of partying around and whatever, and there's going to be a lot of native people that would do that, but give them enough money so that they could buy a good vehicle, a good tractor, so give them 300,000-400,000, because they had no problem giving these immigrants 10.5, one man, 10.5 million, and then this other one, same thing, 10.5 million, and then they give the native people 20,000, 30,000. Well, the one that got 10.5 million, he could start a business. He could do this. He could do it. Yes, some of our people that if they got 300,000, 400,000, maybe they would drink themselves to death. Maybe that was the plan on that 25,000, 30,000. Oh, they're going to drink themselves, we'll get rid of them. The government's always been trying to get rid of the Aboriginal people. And I've seen that. Even my Muslim said that, eh? They starve them to death, you know, and whatever. Every little plan all the time. And, but that hurt my grandfather because now it went to the chief and council. The same system that the Catholics, the government used, went into our council. Same system. Just like you're in a mission. Okay, my grandparents, my father and my dad tried to farm. Indian Affairs gave, okay, a plow. They had a plow. They had a disc. They had a tractor to the chief. And 30 cows. So, my grandfather, well, they wanted to use the tractor and the plow to clear more land. Where I was, this way, one bottom plow, we're plowing. And I was probably about 16 years old. And the chief, well, no, well, I can't use it. So we never, he tried, never got it. And the chief sold the cows, chief sold the tractor, so, you know, so we never got use of that.
You never got to benefit from the things that your suffering paid for.
Yeah. But at that time, instead of, the government didn't want the native to come up, to be somebody, to get along in the white world. They wanted to keep you in this little place, and it's still affecting our Aboriginal people today. I was lucky. I was raised up in Eastbury. I had a hard time to get my brother to come out of the reserve to come and work. I left 21. I was 21. I left, and I worked in Chetwynd, BC, for 3.5 years. But coming home, me and my dad were fencing. We fenced that land in 1955, and oh man, was I ever happy. And I helped my dad cutting hay. When Christmas time, we're baling, eh? But my grandparents, there was love. There was always touching. There was always this, you know. My grandfather pinched my grandmother's bum, and we're doing, you know, there was a lot of connection. Come over here to go out, come out in summertime. I love my mom. But she had this personality. Three of the siblings were raised up by the grandmother. And oh, she was oh man, she was mean. Like she lived in Eastbury right beside us. And even for her to look at us from that little shack, and we just take off. She was so mean. Call us down, just that. Well, 3 of the siblings got the same thing. So when they came back now to live with my parents when I was in the mission summertime, Christmas time, I always felt sorry for my dad. My dad never did anything right. Always called down, always this, all that. And I said, if I have a relationship, I'm not going to have that. Either I'm going to treat my partner, whatever, as my best friend, and I hope the hell she treats me as my best friend. Well, it didn't work out. I had 3 relationships, didn't work out. This one, I'm okay. It took a little while, but, and I didn't say, well, you treat me as a best friend. I figured we all have a brain, we should do it. You know, don't call one another down, what I seen all the summers that I was off.
Do you think your mother was bitter about losing you as children, about having to give you up to schools and the other things that went on in her life? Do you have any reason, any idea why she might be so angry?
Because of my great-grandmother from the other, her grandmother. Okay. There's 3 of them. They all the same attitude. She had 2 brothers. This one that's alive right now is the last one. And, now, but he's getting old. My mom, when she was 90, she lived to 93. Oh, she got timid. But I argued with her. I made her cry. so much. I made her cry so much because calling the neighbors down, calling like she had no friends. She put herself to this place where and criticize. Oh, and as soon as she sees somebody in a store that lived past Greward, where the first thing she said, "Hey, you guys go by here all the time." She said, "Don't you know where I live? Why can't you stop?" But already she said bad things about them, so they don't want to stop. And like I love my mom, and I made her cry so much in the life because I was there from 10. I made her cry so much to try and get her to get out of the, and eventually separated because of that. My dad couldn't handle it anymore. He separated, and then he'd go get drunk for 2 weeks, come home, beat my mom up. Well, naturally because that anger's still there because he wanted to be a friend, and it didn't happen. But anyway, that's where
the behaviors of the alcoholism and the beating people up and the anger all the time, that's all from the residential school experience and the way the Indian agents treated people.
That's where it came from, right? And I can say that I was in a residential school. Okay, if I wasn't raised up in East Prairie, and because I had good parents, not grandparents, there was no anger. They never argued. And so the system that they had compared to the system over here, then going into residential school, and the way we were treated, and all the residential schools was all child labor. Because when we were in there, they put you in one place. Okay, you do the laundry room, you do the cleaning, you do that. But everybody had a job. Try and train you so that you could go out there and look for a job. But you could do that. But in back of your mind, pray every morning. You have to pray like they're forced to everything. Forced. So when you leave the residential school, I had anger. But because of the experience in East Prairie, my anger was a little bit softer anger compared to the ones that were taken away from homes when they come out. And they come home in summertime or Christmas time. There was alcohol involved because my dad was in a mission too. Their parents were in a mission too. But when they come home at Christmas, and there was no alcohol, like my Muslim said, prohibited one time, Easter, whatever, eh? But they made brew. They knew how to make brew. So they come home, the fighting, they see all that at Christmas, summer holidays, the parents. So it kind of, in order to correct your woman because she's always yelling and screaming at you, you beat her up once in a while. Well, that's what I seen. Seen that lots all over, eh? And I talk to people. Hey, no, you don't because she took off on you. She went drinking or something. You don't beat her up. There's something happening at home,
Yeah. Well, and when you live with so much pain makes you angry.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's mental pain, heart pain, or body pain, it makes you an angry person.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of the legacy of the residential schools is the amount of pain they left people in.
Yeah. So younger, I'm not young anymore, but the younger one generation coming up, all that was there already. I'm talking 2 generations back. It was there already. My Muslim was in a mission too. And that would have been in 1901 or 1902, around there. But he was in a mission also. So I got 2 generations, my dad, my Muslim, and 3 generations myself, yeah. But I always said all through the years, I'm so happy I was raised up in East Prairie. I never seen no anger, never seen the negativity. But now, these people that I've seen, my mom and neighbors and relatives of mine that were in a mission, they have a lot of negative. So the children see this. They're growing up. And my siblings, all of them, all have that. Anger, negative. Having a hard time to have relations because they're controlling. The anger is there in the back. Okay, so but it comes from the residential school, and you get freedom. Okay, if you're kept in here and you get freedom, what do? You try and look for the easiest and best way out and have good time. Okay, so that's exactly what happened to our people. They went out there and had as much as because of what's bothering them. So really, there's no goals in life. The ones that never, like I was lucky I was in East Perry, but the ones that were taken away from the parents and put in a mission, they came out with anger. There was really no goals because now they had freedom. So what are they going to do? If there's alcohol around, they're going to drink. If there's drugs around, they're going to do it because they're looking for the easy way out because now they're free. We're all free. I can do what I want.
Yeah.
You're not controlled anymore.
So now you're going to the other extreme of doing crazy stuff that's going to hurt yourself anyway.
Yeah, that comes from residential school because it comes from the parents, grandparents too, because they're drinking and then
you're burying pain.
Yeah, and some of the children take that. It continues on. All my siblings, totally different. Got a lot of anger. Lot of anger. Controlling. It's come from my mom. Mm-hmm. And I talk to them. Actually, today, 3 siblings I haven't talked to for 30 years or 40 years. Because of my mom, they went against my mom. Yeah. And here I'm trying to train my mom to try and to be neutral, to be nice. You know, don't call neighbors down. Don't talk, about people, Because we call it Mox and Telegram. It goes and then it gets back to them, and so now they walk away from you. Eh? But it comes from residential school.
So you worked in Chetwynd, BC, then you come back to this area. What's the biggest change for you when you came back to the reserve?
It wasn't for my dad. My dad, well, I felt sorry for my dad, but anyway. See, how this happened. Okay, when you're 21, you can smoke and drink, okay? So I turned 21, and my uncle and them come down, and so he said, "Hey, you're 21, eh, Johnny?" I said, "Yeah." Oh, he opens up his trunk and, hey, gives me a beer, hands me a cigarette. So I said, "Oh, yeah, that's right, I'm 21." So I was drinking his beer and smoking a cigarette. My dad comes around the corner. He said, "What you doing?" "Well, Uncle gave me a beer and cigarette. I'm 21. So he just grabbed my cigarette, took my beer. "Yeah, I said you could drink and smoke when you're 21. When you learn how to make your own money and buy your own cigarettes and cigarettes." "Oh, he didn't tell me that part." You go to the barn, harness the horses up, and we're going to the rodeo, me and Uncle and the family. Hook up the horses, and I want you to cut hay in that patch over there where we were cutting the other day. I want to go cut. This guy, we're going to rodeo. "Oh, what the hell?" Well, it pissed me off. Took my cigarette and my beer. Okay, well, I go inside. I put 2 pairs of pants on. I put 2 shirts on. And I took my jacket. And I don't know why he didn't stop me when he seen me going to the barn with my jacket. Well, I just kept on walking. Went to the highway. And hitchhike, I got a ride. Right, Prairie. So I stayed in a boxcar with another friend. Didn't have no blankets, had nothing. And eventually, one of the farmers that I worked for gave me a sleeping bag. So I was getting rich now. I had a sleeping bag. I was living in the boxcar, train boxcar. My friend lived on that side. I stayed on this side. So that's how it started. Then we stayed there and trying to work for farmers a little bit here and there. And then we went underneath the granary, and we drank. These guys invited us to come for a drink. We got drunk. It wouldn't take me long to get drunk because I never drank. And passed out there. The next morning we went, holy shit, I woke up my friend, we got to go back and said we're going to try and find a job. So we go back to the boxcar, all our stuff was gone. Somebody cleaned us out. So now hangover, walking around. I was going by this old place, and a native woman said, asked her, where are you going? What's your name? And so I told her, oh, we're related to them, come on in. I'll feed you, So I told him what happened. I ran away. I got nothing. I don't know. I think I'm going to head to Prince George. I heard there's a lot of work, Yeah, but you got nothing. Well, I know. I said, I'm just going to go. Oh, you can't do that. So the old man pulls out an old army bag, with the straps here. They filled that up. Even put a frying pan in there, tea pail, and gave me bannock and everything, filled it up, eh? So I took off, and that's where I got a ride up to Willier or Druryville. Walked 4.5 days. From there, finally I came to Chetwynd Dump, and then there was a guy living there with whatever. So I was starving, and he said, "Well, here, I got lots. Here." So I ate there. So I stayed there for a month with this guy. So we fixed up a car from the dump because he was wanting to go to Fort St. John. I'm going to Prince George. So I took off. And I got to Chetwynd, 2 o'clock in the morning. I was walking down. I seen that cop go by. Oh, geez, what the hell? I had to sneak back in. I turned around, red light. I come over. I said, where are you going? I said, well, I'm going to Prince George. I want to go and I'm looking for a job. Where are you from? Alberta. Well, how much money you got? I got nothing. Well, I'm going to put you in jail for vagrancy. Well, what's that? Well, because you got no money. Well, oh, jeez. Okay, I guess that's where it put me in jail. And then next morning, Mr. Willier, that up, 6:30 in the morning. Here's a plate, bacon and eggs and everything. Brand new pair of gloves. Things missing, oh shit. Because I didn't know what I was in jail for. I'd probably be chopping rocks, for I don't know how long I'm going to be chopping rocks. Because I used to see Western shows, all these guys chopping rocks. And I seen these mountains, never seen mountains, eh? Anyway, I had that, ate, and brand new pair of gloves. Okay, come on. No. I said, we're leaving your bag here. Come with me. Jump in the car. Took me to this great big building. You're a sawmill.
Put you to work and got you some money, so you weren't a vagrant anymore.
Got me a job. Yeah. Give me a new pair of gloves. He only lasted 2 days. Then, but anyway, the workers, I got to know the workers because I had nothing to eat. Me, no money. But today, if it wasn't for white people, good white people, that helped me out. That guy and another one helped me out. And then I was working out there, so my dad said, okay, buy a gravel truck. Everybody buying a gravel truck. And in the meantime, I was working over there 3 years. I'm making good money. So my dad said, you should have a house on the reserve. Reserve wouldn't give me a house, eh? Said, I'll look for a package for you. So he did. He found a package for $6,200 with a fireplace. And I said, well, I don't want a fireplace. So I sent him money, $500 to clear the land. He got a guy to come clear the land. And then he found a package for $6,000 in May or something. And so I asked the boss, well, I had holidays coming, when I could take my holidays. So, yeah, a big truck came in there. I sent the money, $6,000 to my dad. He paid the house. I built my own house in 1968. And we got the house damn near built. Then chief and council came over, and they told me to take the house off because I didn't ask them to build the house. Well, my dad came over, and because he wondered what the heck's going on, all these guys going over there. So he came over, and so he told the chief and council, you guys get off this land, he said, and don't come back. I have a gun here, because, yeah, and this house is it's the biggest house on the reserve. What are you guys trying to do? What are you trying to prove? My dad told him, no, that's the package I bought for my boy. He didn't buy it, but. So I built my house in 68. And farming right there, like, prior to that, we were fencing already, eh? Making fences. A small fence. We had the big fence, but small fences too. And then in 1969, that's when I bought my I bought a horse prior to that. Then in 1969, I bought 9 cows. So I've been there since, raising cattle, farming. I bought a water truck in 1979. Yeah, I bought a water truck. With the help of my dad again. My dad was always there for me. You have somebody to push you and kickstart you. And I had another friend kickstart me too. I had a lot of people that, no, you got to do this, John. You got to do that. Okay, so I bought a, and I looked around to ask the reserve, see if they would give me a letter of support so I could haul water for the reserve, so I'd have a job with my truck, because I only put 20,000 down. No, they wouldn't. Then I asked Cameron Brothers to see if they'd give me, a letterhead. So I went over to Spillax and Walter, and sat down with them and told them where I was at and whatever. Jesus said, no, I'm there for Native people. I'll write you a letter, and I'll send right to the damn bank. As soon as you get that truck, you're working next day. And you're going to be working for me as long as you have that water truck. And that's what he did, that letter. Yeah. And so for a loan. So I had to make a loan. I made a loan of $71,000 to buy that truck. But he's the one, another white guy, gave me help. So,
do you think that your relationships with good white people, as you call them,
yeah,
made it easier for you to accept what was going on with all of the change in your life? Do you think that those people are who guided and helped you to become the person you are today, even more so maybe than some of your family?
Oh, my family never helped me. Oh, my dad's the only one. He's the one actually kickstart me. He's just said, you're making a lot of money. Because I had 20-some thousand in the and I was making good money there at Chetwynd, Fort St. John Lumber, eh? Yeah. And well, he seen how much money I had. Always, you should do this, do that. Yeah, he kickstarted me for the house, kickstarted me for the truck. And Walter and that RCMP, yeah, I didn't. I'd kind of get mad if when some of the Aboriginal people calling whites right down to the ground, and I trying to say no, it's not. Yeah, there's assholes in every nationality. It doesn't have to be white people. It could be black, could be whatever the hell, But there's white people out there, good white people that will help you out. It depends on your personality. And my personality compared to my sisters and brothers, nah, not even close. They got that mum from my mum part, eh? And
you really think that that's part of a slavey tradition, like the slavey Indian and who they were? Or do you think it was just her personality?
For like how? Like
the anger that she always carried, the way she was always rude to people. Was that part of the slavey way, or was it more just her own personality?
My mom?
Yeah.
No, my mom was my mom's mom. She was a Lubbocan. She was Métis. My grandfather, her grandfather came from France in 1978 or maybe 79, 19, yeah, not 79. 1797.
Okay.
Okay. And came to Canada and down French, I guess, wherever. But he married a white woman, and she passed on and remarried a Métis. Maybe, what it could have been real treaty or whatever. And that's where my grandfather came from. He was still, the blood was still from the French, all the way. My grandmother was half, her dad was white, her mom was treaty, or Métis or whatever. So that's how she was. So my grandmother, from the Okamaw side, there was no negative, no nothing. This nice little lady, short, small and everything, but that was my beauty. I just love my grandmother, I love my grandmother and my grandfather because I was raised up with them. I love my Muslim, treated me good, and we worked together. And like haying, all the time haying on the summer holidays. And when I was off work, we'd hay again, But I always remember that time, they always sit there in front of the, wish we had more land. Fire going, tent for haying, if we had more land. So they passed on. So I never told anybody my goal in life. I said, their dream, I'm going to try and fill it. That's why if I finish my trench this fall, and if I can get it done and I get our land back with no more floods, I'm done. This is my goal was for them, and they're going to be happy. Dad, and Muslim, here we go. We are. Yeah.
I think that's the perfect place to end this.
Yeah.
This was a wonderful story. Thank
Yeah.
you so
Yeah.
much.